Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today to the event where we will be speaking about the basic page model and its application in Japan. So basic page is a model of coping and resilience. So my name is Eglė Lisauskaitė. I am from Lithuania and I am ICF coach in my practice in individual and group sessions. I'm working with metaphoric cards. And the event that is happening today, actually, it's called Let's Talk About the Metaphoric Cards. And the format is that the idea behind that event is that to talk about metaphoric cards and its wide possibilities to use in different settings, in different areas. So, I'm very glad to have you, Tayo, here on our event. So Tayo Okada from Japan, and you are clinical psychologist, an expert in trauma therapy with 20 years of experience, CSPS certified basic page master trainer, and vice representative of basic page in Japan. So, Tayo, before we start, I would like to invite you to share what is your personal story, how you met Basic Page, and what is your personal story? And I can share my story as well. So, would you like to start?
Okay, but as I'll explain about it later in my presentation, that I was introduced to Basic PH 2012, just after the tsunami affected the Tohoku area in Japan. And from 2012, the support program coming from Israel, and I met Basic PH in that program. So over 10 years, I spent my time with Basic PH.
So there is a long story already from 2012. Okay. So, and my story, how I met Basic Page. So I met Basic Page, it was almost 10 years ago. It was 2017 and 2018 when I started to practice coaching, and I was looking for a very practical tool, and then I discovered metaphoric cards. And one set of the metaphoric cards was Cope. And actually, through Cope deck, I discovered Basic Page. And Basic Page and Cope cards gave me a wonderful professional relationship, friendship with Dr. Ofra Elon. She is co-author of Basic Page method. So this is my story, and actually there is a relation between the format of the event. Let's talk about the metaphoric cards. So this is my relationship to Basic Page, that I came to Basic Page method through Cope cards. So this is my story. And so, Tayo, maybe we could start, we could go on with your presentation that you have prepared, and during the presentation you will cover the whole story, how it has started in Japan, and how it's now used, and how is your practice, and how is your experience.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, thank you for coming today, and I talk about Basic PH Japan, or Basic PH in Japan. So first of all, a very quick introduce about the Basic PH. The Basic PH is a model proposed by Dr. Murilahad and Dr. Ofra Elon. This model summarized the 6 aspects. And also we said channels that help people cope with stress and crises and draw upon their resilience to bounce. And I think Ego sent the list of basic pH. And the basic pH have 6 channels: belief, affect, social, imagination, and cognition, and physiology. And please see the list for details on each channel. Because if I explain about each channel, I need many times. So I just introduce shorter. Basic pH is an acronym for 6 channels. Basic pH is a model developed with a focus on the question, how do people survive? By identifying your preferred stress management channel through the 6 channels and learning to use the other channels, you can broaden your range of stress management strategies and improve your resilience. Oh, thank you, Igor. In applying basic pH to Japanese culture, of course, basic pH coming from Israel, so we need to adjust. There were several points that needed to be taken into consideration, especially belief channel and affect channel. But today I want to introduce about the belief channel in Japan. In Japan, a characteristic feature is the belief that one must exercise self-discipline by being mindful of others, such as you must not cause trouble for others, or you must act like their eldest son. This means there are many scenes where B channel and S channel appear at the same time in Japan. Dr. Muri compares basic pH to a pair of glasses. In basic pH, a strong channel, preferred use often channel, refers not only to stress coping strategies, but also to how we connect with the world. When you view the world through the lens of basic pH allows you to see the symptoms of the person in front of you who is struggling as a way of connecting with the world. Understanding which channel the person in front of you is using to connect with the world reveals a wealth of possibilities. This is kind of basic pH magic. And when we view basic pH as a way to connect with the world, being mindful of using all of basic pH's channel can also serve as a useful model for community support, communication, and service delivery. And in this time, I want to share my personal story about basic pH. For 5 years, from 2012 to 2017, I worked as an emergency school counselor in a coastal area affected by the Great East Japan earthquake. I later learned that during the time I was there, the area I worked in held the dubious distinction of having the highest number of child abuse cases and the highest number of school refusal cases in Japan. It was an extremely poor area, a town that truly felt like the end of the world. Abuse and violence were commonplace. There was no money at home or at school also, and with no jobs in town because the tsunami affected and many jobs are lost. There was no future in sight. There were even children who stayed awake all night watching over their mothers suffering from depression to prevent them from committing suicide, only to fall asleep at school during the day. In a town like that, if I focus on what the problem is, I'll be overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the hardship and crushed by a sense of helplessness. How many times did I cry telling myself I can't do anything because of my own powerlessness? But Basic PH opened my eyes to this reality. When I began to see a child's struggle as a window through which they were trying to connect with the world, I could finally see what needed to be done. I began to see the strengths within that child as they fought to survive. How could I help them make better use of the channels they were already using? What could I do to help them expand to other channels? Once I could see the hope and the direction we needed to follow, all that was left was to move forward, step by step, alongside the child right in front of me. This experience continued to shine within me, even now as I work in disaster relief. The more difficult the situation, the more Basic PH demonstrates its true value. It becomes a beacon of hope. That's why I love Basic PH. So from this slide, I want to share about the Basic PH Japan story. 2011, big earthquake occurred in the Tohoku area in Japan, and many people passed away. And Basic PH was introduced to Japan as a program to support those who provided aid following the Great East Japan earthquake. And thanks to a collaborative support initiative involving 4 organizations, 3 experts, Dr. Muri Lahad, Luvi Rojo Sensei, and Daria Shivan Sensei visited Japan. And they visited Japan over a 3-year period beginning in 2012 and conducted a total of 21 Basic PH workshops throughout the country. About half of the workshops were held in the disaster-affected coastal area of Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima. This photo shows staff meeting with Daria Shivan Sensei and Shiho Kunihiro. She is an interpreter. And in 2013, a 5-day workshop was held in Japan to train Basic PH master trainer. So you can see I was participating in this training. So in 2014, a 2-day follow-up course for master trainers was held. And this person is the representative of Basic PH Japan. And 2014, master trainers who would later become core members of Basic PH Japan participated as facilitators in workshops held in Morioka and Tokyo. This photo of the workshop in Morioka. Over the past 3 years, starting in 2012, we've experienced so much. But when we thought about how to communicate what Basic PH is all about, we realized that we had become far too accustomed to bring taught knowledge and were not very good at processing what we had learned through experience. Because before Tohoku earthquake, the lecture is the main studying pattern. So experience is this is my first studying style. So we can't digest what we experienced. So 2014 to 2016, we collaborated with JISP, Japan Israel Support Program, and processed our experiences with basic PH by participating in training in expressive therapy, which had been provided as psychosocial support for aid workers involved in the Great East Japan earthquake. In particular, Galila Oren Sensei and Dr. Shermit Bressler have discussed basic PH within the framework of expressive therapy, like drama therapy or bibliotherapy and art therapy, blah, 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 which has helped us better understand it. Our collaboration with JISP served as a major stepping stone for delivering basic PH to the disaster-stricken areas thereafter. And during this process, I came across points of view, and it's a card, like Anibi inner child card, among others card. And in 2015, the basic PH workshop led by Japanese master trainers began. And this photo shows providing a workshop for a theater troupe conducting relief activities in Sendai. So I really love this photo. And could you see the man in the foreground? He is a dancer with Down syndrome, professional dancer. And he is a very wonderful guy. And 2015 on-site workshop at Meiji Gakuin University. And this photo shows workshop for school principals who managed evacuation shelters in Miyagi. They told us that through the basic PH workshop, they realized just how much they had lost the ability to play. In 2016, we conducted a basic PH workshop as part of the disaster resilience leadership training organized by Tomodachi, Peace Boat, and JISP, which was attended by nursing students from areas affected by the Great East Japan earthquake. And in June 2016, Basic PH Japan was established as an independent organization following its separation from the humanitarian support program of the Japan EMDR Association, with the aim of promoting and developing the Basic PH model in Japan. So in this year, the 10 years later, Basic PH Japan organized. And this photo shows a scene, our meeting, making a program situation and facilitation practice. And you can see the O card in the photo. And in 2016, the first workshop organized by Basic PH Japan. This is our first workshop. Official workshops. And in 2017, Basic PH was adopted as part of the group cognitive behavioral therapy program offered by the National Center of Neurology and Psychiatry, the leading tuition in Japan for psychiatric care as part of its return to work support program. In 2017, the Basic PH textbook is supervised and translated by professors at the National Defense Medical College. In 2017, Dr. Moody returned to Japan. In addition to the Basic PH workshop, CFR CBT training was also held. And when I attending CFR CBT training, I first met over Corp card. So in my experience, Basic PH first and all card is later. And this photo shows the self-defense force area. One of the members of Basic PH Japan spent 5 years persuading senior leadership, and as a result, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force agreed to hold training sessions on disaster-related stress and Basic PH. In 2017, Basic PH Japan received the WISO Recognition Award at the 70th WHO World Health Assembly with Dr. Moody. In 2017, following his visit in February, Dr. Moody returned to Japan again in December, same year. Along with the Basic PH workshop, the second CFR CBT training session was also held. And after the greatest Japan earthquake, many disasters occurred in Japan. So 2018 to 2019, providing a mental health support program using Basic PH in special education classes at elementary schools affected by the Kumamoto earthquake. Children with any type of disability, including intellectual disability, emotional disability, and physical disability also, were able to participate in the program together. This is very rare situation. Usually they joined differently, but in this Basic PH workshop, they participate all together. And from 2018, we decided to hold regular Basic PH classes at Recovery College. We now hold these classes regularly at 2 Recovery College in Tokyo. In 2018, we were able to provide the Basic PH workshop to professionals involved in mental health care for children in Fukushima. We can went to the Fukushima. This time, finally, we can went to the Fukushima. In 2019, we provided a Basic PH workshop to members of volunteer organizations active in areas affected by the heavy rains in Western Japan. 2019, support for supporters of the Eastern Iburi Hokkaido earthquake. So many earthquakes occurred in Japan and relief efforts. And in this time, many school counselors participated. And 2020, COVID-19 pandemic occurred. Although the world was shut down, we were able to stay connected with people all over the world through the internet. So 2020 to 2021, in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, I offered online basic PH workshops for mental health and medical professionals who are unsure how to address ongoing trauma. Over 150 people participated in 15 sessions. Because when I hold the online workshop, I limited my participants, only 10 participants. So each time only 10 participants. So we have 15 sessions, but 115 people. But surprisingly, in this time, I'm very surprised because many clinical psychologists or psychiatrists didn't know how to manage ongoing trauma. So they are very confused how to deal with it. So that's why I held a basic PH workshop online. And 2021 basic PH workshops for communities in areas affected by the Nepal earthquake. This is my first workshop for foreign country people, but unfortunately, this time is with interpreters. And 2021, we were able to hold the first online workshop on basic PH by Dr. Ofra, specifically for Japanese audience. So thank you for Edna. I want to say thank you, Edna. She introduced me Dr. Ofra, and finally I met her in this time. And 2023, an online workshop on basic PH led by Dr. Murray. And 2023, we asked Dr. Murray, who was planning to visit Thailand, if he could stop by Japan while he was there. We reunited after the pandemic. Dr. Murray visited Japan for the first time in 4 years, and a 5-day basic PH workshop was held. And also, he introduced some workshop using OCAD in the basic PH workshop. And 2023, we conducted a basic PH workshop to prevent burnout among Toshima World government employees. And 2024 to 2025, we provided workshops based on basic PH to elderly residents affected by the earthquake of the Noto Peninsula who are currently living in temporary housing. So this time I hold the basic PH workshop for elder person. Usually I hold workshop for kids or children, but this time it's not children. And starting in 2025, once a year, we are now able to hold basic PH workshops at the Psychiatric Daycare Center of the National Center of Neurology and Psychiatry Hospital. And 2026, basic PH was introduced during a series of online courses on Dr. Ofra metaphorical associative cards organized by Eglė. So 2026, we've been asked by publisher to write a book on basic PH. We are going to be swamped with writing the manuscript from now until December. So what I've noticed while holding workshops at Recovery College, and through return to work support program is that participants who initially had only a very limited channel of coping strategies are able to use multiple channel coping strategies by the time they graduate. Of course, I've asked the program providers to offer programs that utilize all 6 channels of basic PH. And this photo is kind of a fun situation. These are scenes depicting a meeting of Basic PH Japan using the 6 channels of Basic PH, similar to De Bono's 6 thinking hats. And thinking using points of view, so use imagination channel, thinking while doing strength training, PH channel, and thinking while doing something fun and laughing, affect A channel, and so on, so on. So if we done that, we can get many inspiration, many ideas, many thinking, all they're coming up, and the meeting is quite fun. And this is the last slide of myself. When wearing basic PH glasses and using metaphorical associative cards, you can identify the other person's strong preferred channel within cards, from cards and from narrative and from words. So if we use metaphorical associative cards, there are many basic PH channel coming up from the cards, story, words, and you can easily to identify the client's strong channel. At Basic PH Japan, we have consistently focused on reaching out to those within our sphere of influence. If that were all we did, our efforts would have remained small scale. However, it was the social workers who recognized the immense value of Basic PH, who helped us expand our activities significantly. So social workers expand our world. So thank you for your attention. This is my presentation of Basic PH Japan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Taya, for your presentation. So it's very interesting to see. Actually, for me, it makes impression the long story starting from 2012 years. Yes, and of course, behind that, it was a huge disaster. And I remember that date very well, when Fukushima nuclear plant had exploded.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a very long story. And another big surprise for me, how presently widely the basic page model is used on the national level. I haven't heard any other country where this basic page coping mode is used on national level. So as we have heard, it's used on medical area, it's used on social care, it's used in education. So I'm surprised, actually. Yeah. So, but maybe before we continue, maybe I would like to make a short, to make connection between basic page model and metaphoric cards. To make model with the metaphoric cards, maybe it will be more clear for those who are not aware about the model. So I will share my screen, and by the way, I shared the link to the Dr. Afra Elon article about basic page and cope cards. So I will share the screen and briefly review each coping channel and the card that represents that channel. Okay, if to put in visuals, and why I opened this article, because here you can see very well visualized how the coping and resilience model is represented in the cards. So as Tayo, you mentioned, basic page is 6 coping channels that we are all together have. Some channels we are born with, some channels we have learned, and some channels are still not discovered for ourselves. So if to put it shortly, so the first coping channel is belief, is letter B. So belief to ourselves, belief to other people, belief to God, belief to universe, something important that we believe in. Another important coping channel that we all together have, it's affect. So it's our emotions, our feelings, how we perceive our emotions and feelings, how we express. And by the way, I noticed that you were laughing a lot during your workshops. I'm right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I noticed that you called it laughing like coping mode of the affect channel. Yeah, by the way, life is one of the coping modes, and it's affect mode. So it's the second card represented where hands are holding heart. The social coping mode is the third coping mode, and it's like seeking for help, asking for help, supporting help. So here we can see 2 hands seeking towards each other. Is the third coping channel. The fourth coping channel is in our imagination, actually. And in our imagination, we can create our imagined future, the situation we would like to be in the future. And the fifth coping channel is cognitive, our cognition. When we are reading, we are thinking, we are planning, we are making some strategic steps, and so on and so on. So it's our cognition. And the sixth coping channel, it's our own body. So it's like to sleep, to eat, to exercise, to dance. I don't know what else, Taya. What else
No,
you are
if
doing?
I feel sick, it
Mm.
means also pH channel.
Mm. So it means that you are taking care about your body.
Yeah.
And for example, in my case, when I was doing the exercise, the scope cards, and by the way, what I like about this set of scope cards and this special six cards, you can see that in all those 6 cards, there are depicted hands. You can see
Yeah.
hands in all 6 cards, and I like the idea behind the cope cards that it doesn't matter what happened to us because it's already happened in the past and we can change the past. But how we deal with the consequence of what happened to us in the past, it's in our hands. How we cope and how we bounce back after some disasters. So. One interesting thing, what I discovered for myself when I was exploring the cope cards and the basic page model, I discovered for myself, for example, I'm very well at cognition. If
Mm.
something not working in my life, if I need something to solve in my life, I'm looking for information. I am looking for information. I am seeking. I am asking other people. And what I found for myself, I found that the belief channel is used. I'm not using that channel. So I found myself the belief channel as a resource that is
Mm.
not used yet by myself. So, Tayo, what is your personal experience? You mentioned during your presentation that one way is to learn by listening, and another way is to learn by experiencing. And by the way, I like this way of learning very much, to experience myself. So, what have you discovered for yourself? Which channel do you use the most? And
I
which
think
channel is
you
still resource for you?
I think you can see my strong channel in my presentation, because when I have a basic PH workshop at the disaster area, you can see I use many movements there. So that's because my strong channel is PH.
Mhm.
And of course, my body is very big. I like eating, sleeping, so that's why my body makes big.
Mhm.
And also, my strong channel is also A channel, affect channel. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I laugh always, and my emotional expression is very very big, and that's why children loves me maybe. But
Mhm.
in Japan, I'm very surprised. I said the belief channel is kind of different, and
Mhm.
also affect channel is different. In
Mhm.
Japan, how can I say, the express to express emotion at the public situation, public space, it is how can I say it? It's
It's
not
not
good
accepted.
for the culture.
It's not social
Yeah,
accepted.
accepted. Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if we feel kind of sad or the bad emotion, we make us alone and kind of listening to sad music or sad movie and crying. So sometimes the usually affect channel is mean express emotion, but in Japan, suppress emotion is
Mhm.
adapted
Mhm.
our culture. This is kind of a difference
Mhm.
in basic pH.
Mhm. So it's actually, I guess, it's negative side of affect coping channel.
Yeah.
When you need to express your emotions, you are
Mhm.
suppressing your emotions, and
Yeah.
I think um, something similar we could have in our country, I mean in Lithuania as well.
Mm.
So especially in, let's say, in my generation, it's quite acceptable to suppress our emotions. For example, our kids, they are more free in their emotions, but what I can recognize in our generation, so it's my personal experience.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
So,
many Israel teacher uh, came from Israel to Japan, and many Israel teacher surprised
mhm,
because usually when they hold a workshop or lecture, the Japanese students is very how can I say calm and silence. But after workshop, we go to the bar, and Japanese participants is laughing, talking too loud, and so
mhm,
facial expression is
mhm.
occurs. So why they the emotion expressed only at the bar, not in
Mhm.
the lecture room?
So it's
So that's
another way
why I
of,
want.
yeah, it's another coping
Yes.
channel. And Taya, so the last
Can
question
I
before
add something?
before finish.
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to add, I remember when I gave the metaphorical cards online course with you to the Japanese people. You remember during the pandemic, in the end of the course, at the last session, I always invite participants to dance in front of
Mm.
the screen. And I was so afraid that the Japanese participants will not join in and will not dance and laugh. And it was my biggest surprise. You remember the professor and not only girls, but also boys, and they let go and everything was so flowing. And yes, it's a cultural difference. You can absolutely perceive the cultural difference in expressing emotions. So you're right about the difference in the two cultures.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Edna, for sharing your experience. And by the way, Edna, you mentioned that people were they were dancing before their screen, so they were using the borders of the coping
Body and
channel.
emotions and laughing and freeing themselves. Yes.
Yeah, so they were using the borders as the physical coping channel. They were laughing, so they were using affect coping channel. And what else you mentioned?
And we were doing it all together through the internet.
It's social.
So
it's social.
Israel, Japan, we had a lady from New York, so we were very social all over.
Yeah. So at least out of these 6 coping channels, right now we recognized 3, at least. So I'm sure there were used more coping channels. So I will stop sharing my screen for now. And before we stop with you, Tayo, I would like to ask the last question. I noticed that during your workshops where you are teaching about the basic page, you are using the different teaching materials. I saw only on few pictures where you were using all cards or another cards. So does it mean that basic page coping and resilience model can be used with another materials except cards?
When I hold basic PH workshop for, how can I say, the participants who have a mental issue, usually we started from safe place work using all card. So choose one card represent their safe place or safe symbol and put on the paper and draw using crayon and expand that image. That work is usually starting work of my workshop. That's why many all card is there. But when I go to the disaster area or at the elementary school, the participant is how can I say, not client, they don't have a mental illness. So we try to use some how can I say, stretch band or balloons and the start from pH channel.
Okay, so you use body as page channel.
Yes. So that's why the starting work is different. And maybe you can see the long strings connected to the all the participants. That is closing work, our workshop. So that represented our, how can I say, the connection. Yes.
Yeah, for me it was very interesting to see because up to now the only one connection it was basic page and cope cards. There were no other connections. So thank you very much for adding and expanding the model, basic page model, that it's possible to use with different materials, with some, I don't know, balloons or whatever. Yeah. So not only cards.
So I want to say one thing. Why I started from the pH channel work in my basic pH channel. The pH channel is very, how can I say, important channel because if people arrive, all people use PH channel because we need to eat and sleep, and we live with the body. So that's why I start from PH channel.
So pH channel it's for physical, and physical is for our body. And as you mentioned, you are always starting your workshops from your body, from movement, for breathing, and so very interesting. So
and I'm surprisingly in the Return to Work program participants or the Recovery College participants, most of the participants, the stronger channel is imagination channel.
The strongest channel, the most used
strongest channel is imagination.
Wow.
It's very different.
Very interesting. Okay, Tayo, so thank you very much for sharing. And this is the end of our official part. And now I'm stopping recording. And then we have 15 minutes for our time for your questions, comments,